Who rocks mics and rocks them well, yo?
It's the biz, baby, it's the biz. It's the biz, baby, it's the biz. It's the biz, baby, it's the biz. It's the biz, baby, it's the biz.
We're recording?
Yeah.
Am I in the frame? Am I where I need to be?
We should need to be like the same this-ish.
Right,
like,
but I can't see with the fucking lens in front of me, so you can see. All right, so welcome back to the Biz Show and Podcast, because, you know, we do a podcast now.
I didn't know
New
that.
year, the audio gets uploaded. You don't have to do anything different.
Okay.
My first guest for the new year
Wow.
is Jason Maas.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
We're not talking about you today.
Perfect. Perfect. You know what? I'm ready for this. That's what I'm all about this.
Right. I'm sure a lot of people ask you to come on. They're like, talk about Defeater and recording. Yeah.
Yes.
No, we're
That's all that happens.
Right. This
Yeah.
isn't that.
Good.
So, we're talking about the live from 2021 Rebuilder show. So, you know, I don't know if you guys have seen it yet, but to give everyone the gist, Rebuilder wanted to do a live show, and in this age of, you know, staying at home and the coronavirus, live shows aren't happening. I've watched a lot of live streams and they're all bad.
All?
Most.
Yeah.
Did you ever see anyone that you were like, this is the best?
No. I didn't really see that many. So I watched the Menzingers one a little bit.
Sure.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
That was it.
Right.
Yep.
So, like, that's the thing is that, like, you know, I saw Dropkick Murphys one that they did right at the beginning that was, like, in a soundstage place, and then they did Fenway Park, and, like, I think that's kind of the point is that, like, the bands that are doing these are, like, generally bigger bands that have the resources to pull this together and do it. But, like, what about smaller bands? Rebuilder isn't the biggest band. We're a pretty small band. And what does that look like if we want to do a live stream, which most of the time is just someone's iPhone
Sure.
in Uncle Johnny's basement.
Yeah.
There's, you know, they're like, yeah, the phone will pick up the sound.
Yeah, no, it won't.
It's terrible.
Well, I mean,
It will,
it will.
but it's not great. And so, you know, we wanted to, the idea came about just because, like, we typically had done a New Year's show every year. We weren't going to do one this year because, well, one, we couldn't do one this year because of the pandemic. But before that, we weren't going to do Charlie's Kitchen anymore because it just got too small for us to do. And in talking to Daniel, we had come up with some ideas, and I said, I don't want to do another, like, live stream thing if it's going to look like just as these other ones look. It's just free on Instagram or Facebook, and there's no quality into it. There's 10 people watching, and if there's 10 people watching, then what is the point, really? It's like...
Sure. And, like, one person's like your mom and, like, your girlfriend.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I don't know. It's like, if you had 10 people seeing you at a real show, you'd be like, well, this show sucks.
Been there.
Right. Well, like, have you been there where there's 10 people seeing you and no one had to leave their fucking house?
No.
Yeah, that sucks,
Right.
dude. So we were like, we want this to look good, sound really good. I actually, at the beginning, spoiler alert, it wasn't live. But, like, it was live in the sense of, like, a live record is live.
Well, it's a live performance.
It's a live performance.
Yeah.
It wasn't like a live stream as it was happening right at that moment. And we'll get into why that wasn't even possible. But at the beginning of talking about this, I had approached like a live stream company that we had talked to for a little bit, and I was even adamant. I was like, this has to be live. It has to be on New Year's Day. New Year's Day is perfect time to do it because, like, no one should be getting together on New Year's, but people are going to do it anyway. New Year's Day is on a Friday, and this year, people are probably going to have the day off from home, from work, even being home. They'll be able to watch this. We'll have it at like 3:30, which seems to be a reasonable time for both coasts. And then if you really want to, like, if you can't catch it, you'll have all weekend to watch. And this was like the whole idea of like putting this in place. And I remember it didn't, like, we couldn't work it out with the live stream company, and I had mentioned it to you, and you said you wanted to be involved in this, and I think I gave you like 4 different outs, and I was like,
Yeah.
past this point, there's no more out.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was way more work than I thought it was going to be.
A lot more.
Way more. Now that it's done,
Yeah.
stoked. Because I think we fucking crushed it. I'm really proud of it. I think it sounds good.
I think
and
so
it
too.
Looks great too.
I think so too. But to get to that point, it was just kind of like, you know, I remember I approached you and I was like, okay, is there something that we can do together? There's not going to be an outside company. I don't know how much money is even going to be made with this.
Right.
Because, like, you can't have everyone just, like, work for free, especially when you're trying to put something like this up. And I remember saying to you, I was like, are you sure you want to do this? Can we do this together? Is this something? And you suggested, yes, we can do it. We'll deal with money, like, later. We'll just see what happens. Which I was really appreciative of taking the risk for it.
Fucking course you were.
But like, you know, you had suggested getting Bill involved because you were like,
Yep.
Bill is awesome. You know, I've known him through you, but he's come out to Rebuilder shows and stuff. And he was like, see if Bill will get involved. He would probably do this. He'd probably do this on the cheap just to be involved in this. And he's got great gear. And then I think you suggested California Kyle, to do the editing of it.
My video editor for most of my YouTube videos.
Right. And it was like, he'll probably want to do it, you know. He's like, I don't know, talk to him, see what he'll do it for. And I was like, okay, well, so now we already have costs coming into play. And we needed to find a venue to do this. And like every music venue that we went to in Boston that we thought would look good, because that was the thing, we wanted to look good too. So there was like certain places where it was like, I think this could be good, but like all these venues are closed and they wouldn't be able to like open the doors, get their staff to do it, and have it be cheap for us. Again, the bigger bands that have done it have the resources to do these things.
Totally.
I think I contacted the venue that Dropkick did theirs at, and they were like, we can talk different prices, but the base price to try to do this over here is around $15,000 to $20,000. Which, after everything we did, I completely believe that.
Sure. Yeah.
You know,
totally.
especially for like something that big. But again, we're talking about how does a smaller band do this. So I remember, you know, I contacted Bill, and he said he would do it. He brought in his friend Kyle from Connecticut who would shoot as well. And then there's the 5 of us in Rebuilder, and now we have to find a venue. Every place I went to didn't really work out. I remembered that my friend Anthony has a barn that used to be a recording studio. I asked him. He said we could have it, no cost at all, which was actually the best place to do it at because we needed more time to be in that room for prepping.
Yeah.
We wouldn't have been able to do that in a music venue.
Yep.
And with all that, it was like, there's no way this can actually be live because we would have to find like a high stream internet like connection to even be able to do something like that.
Definitely.
And it would it was just a lot more of resources that we don't have, especially if we're just trying this thing out and seeing how it goes.
Well, you'd also have some other stuff. So like, if you wanted it to be like, so this is a live performance, but if you wanted it to be like live, you would need somebody with like a multi HDMI in thing that's coming in like directly, no latency from the cameras, with their own dedicated monitor, who's switching between camera angles, and then my audio has to be pre-mixed and it's feeding in to that, and that goes out. And like, cool, but I think like the fact that it's a live performance, it's the same. Like, who cares, right? So it's just like, might as well take those variables out of the equation.
Right.
Capture a live performance, capture a show vibe, but like it just gives you like a little bit more flexibility with like, I get a moment to make it sound really good. We get a moment to switch camera angles, you know?
Because I can like tell you now, like, you know, with getting everyone in place too, like also like even doing this, like we have to remember there's a virus out there. So like we all had to get negative tests and we all wore masks while we were doing it. And so we're like, okay, now we have the venue to do this. Again, it can't be live just because like we don't have all those things that you talked about. And like, that's the other thing. It's like introducing all those variables to do something that live would just be a nightmare. I mean, we went in on a prep day to do everything, right?
Yep.
And it took us all day to even just get the audio getting there. If it was live and we're like, all right, we're here to ready to go, like, nothing's working. Like,
well, that's the thing. Like anytime you're doing like a new, you're problem solving something new. I mean, yes, maybe if you're like, this is what we do every day, we've got this stuff ironed out. But for us, it was like, we have a goal, we have a dream.
right.
We put together a reasonably solid plan, but really like we had to test that plan. The prep day is just like so critical for that.
Oh, you need a prep day.
You have to have it.
We absolutely could not have done this without the prep day because it took us all day to get to the point where we got to a point where, so the music curfew that we had like at the house was like 9 p.m. I think we got the audio figured out right at 9 p.m.
Yep.
And we're like, okay, cool. This is great because we can come back tomorrow
Yep.
and like tweak some stuff, but like pretty much be ready to go.
Yep.
And to kind of like explain even how we had to do the audio. So because I even asked you, I was like, how necessary is a PA system to be in the room?
Right.
And you said like it would actually be preferred to not, so that
course.
we can get a clean vocal signal,
Yep.
not have another variable of like speakers and things in the room adding more noise to
Yeah.
it.
Right.
So we all used in-ears,
Yep.
which the Mighty Bosstones, because they didn't have their throwdown this year,
Right.
weren't using their wireless packs and let us borrow their wireless packs to do, which was fucking great because like that's really expensive. It's another cost thing that we were able to save on.
I also just want to quickly shout out was the Mighty Bosstones sound guy who I had to go on FaceTime.
Dave Mack.
I had
FaceTimed you.
I had to go on FaceTime with him
Yeah.
because we were having just like some weird problems, and so huge thank you to Dave and the Bosstones for giving us that stuff. But yeah, it means like new stuff. Like so, I've been like, here's welcome to my studio, right? Like we've been recording
Right.
forever, and that's like my profession. That's what I know how to do really
Right.
well, and a lot of that's transferable. But at the same time, new situation, new variables. And also, you guys like don't play with in-ears,
Right.
Right. So like just creating headphone mixes and all of that stuff, it's super worth it, but
Right.
it totally takes time.
And we all like, even because of that, for like the time and like unknown gear and things like that, like
Yep.
we all had the same mix in our ear.
Yep.
So that like, you know, and that's even difficult in itself. It's like, one, we're not used to playing with in-ears. Two, I can't have my guitar cranking super loud in my ears at all times, which is usually how I love to like play anyway. So it's like everything is a bit unknown. So, you know, and I don't even think it comes across in the video, thankfully, because Kyle's editing is great. But like the first couple songs and everything, I think we were just kind of trying to figure out, like, it felt weird. I mean, I remember like
Yep.
we played and I was like, when we got to our first break where I would talk, I was like, we're doing this. We're in this.
Yep.
This, I haven't played a show in a year.
Yep.
I haven't played a show in a year, and we're trying to jump back into this like we never left this. But there's a whole bunch of variables in place that we're not used to. We know our songs, and we know that, and that we had practices in that room with the in-ears on. But when it's performance time, nothing can really prepare you when you haven't used these things, you know?
Totally. And I know that like the first time I used in-ears was playing bass for August Burns Red. And I remember like how disorienting it was. I would go to the front of the stage. So like I'm used to playing shows. You go up to the front of the stage,
Right.
there's like whatever, 1,000 people.
Sure.
And you hear them. They're right there.
Fucking 1,000 people guy.
Yeah, sorry. Well, when you're playing that, whatever.
Talk about some small ass.
I'm just saying,
that's fine, you know,
that was
sure.
my
Yeah.
experience. And so when I was at the front of the stage, I was used to like going up to the front of the stage and being able to feel
Yeah.
that response.
Yeah.
And I guess I like kind of forgot how absolutely isolating that the in-ears can be. And then, you know, for me as like an engineering standpoint, it did cross my mind to be like, oh, you know what, like maybe I should get everybody their own headphone mix. Thing is this, I was like, I'm on a laptop, limited interfaces, limited time. So I was like, let's just make everyone happy enough to get this
Right.
done.
Right.
Going forward, I think one thing I might change is I think I would try to give everybody their own
Right.
like
Right.
headphone mix, yeah.
But again, this is all stuff like after we've done one, like I feel so confident, like I would actually like love to do this again with like another band that was like a
like
cool
maybe another
band.
engineer.
But like, no, I thought about this and I was like, man, if we went and did this again, like I was like, let's say like, if like Choke Up did a live stream, right?
Sure.
And like, we're like, well, we've already done this. We know what to do now.
Yep.
It would go so much smoother.
Totally.
But like, again, like this is the first one. Everything was unknown, everything going into it.
Yep.
And we learned so much, but we came up with a product that like did exactly what we wanted it to do. We wanted it to look good. We wanted it to sound good. And I read a review yesterday that came down and it said like, I don't remember who it was by, but they're like, we watched this and they must have put a lot of time and work into this because the sound was very good and they're like, it looked very good and it really showed and raised the bar for what a live stream could be. And
cool.
I think that really sums up this whole entire thing is like, you really need to think about like the effort and time that you're putting into this. This is unknown for a lot of bands too. Like,
Yep.
you don't know what we're doing. So it's like, I didn't know how this thing was going to look like. So I remember texting you a lot being like, should I get more lights? Should I get more of this? Should
I'm
I,
like, yes.
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 Because we're just like, oh, and I like, so, again, like, and all this has a cost to come in with it because the corporate sponsors, like, we asked for sponsorships. We went to, like, a lot of, like, small businesses that we're friends with and just kind of sent this out to a lot of people. And the reason why we had to do that is because, again, we didn't know actually how many tickets we could sell to this and see if we could make any money back. Again, like, there's people that needed to be paid and, like, can't ask anyone to work for free on a dream. So, like, we had, like, thankfully, like, I think it was, like, Rockto's Grilled Cheese and Pinot Brothers
Dope.
and Acme Band Supply, Safe Responsible. I'm trying to remember all of them. There was like Feed the Scene, and then like some of our friends, Joe Boo, like and stuff kicked in, and it was great because like we were like, okay, the whole show is almost paid for,
Yeah.
and once that happened, we could kind of relax a little bit more and see like, okay, we don't have that much left to go with ticket sales so that no one's going to be like burned out of this,
Yeah, totally.
because I think I went to a couple of other bands, like even when I was trying to make this like very like live, I was like, how many tickets did you sell? And like one of my friend's bands, he was like, I did like around 330. I would have thought he would have been in the thousands, to be honest.
Sure.
Because I was thinking to myself, this dude does 100 tickets in like most cities that he goes to.
Yep.
And this is a world event.
Right.
So will he do maybe even 50 in every city? And that is not the case.
Not
with
even
this.
close.
No.
Yeah.
So like
It's like one in every city.
Right.
Right.
Right. So it's like the numbers are way lower, and I was like, oh, and like even like another band that was like bigger than that, like I think they did like something like 700 tickets over like a span, and I was like, these numbers are a lot lower than I thought.
Totally.
So
Yeah, totally.
I even got nervous. I was like, should we just maybe hope for like 50 tickets?
Sure.
And I was even prepared of being like, if that's the case and we did 50 tickets, thank God we got these sponsorships to be able to like cover this and do this.
Yep.
And it was just a learning experience to be like, okay, we did 50 tickets at that.
Yep.
Thankfully, we didn't. We did more than that. And I was stoked. And it was a weird thing. Like, I'm glad it was like pre-recorded because I didn't know how many tickets would have been sold while we were playing.
Right.
And I think at the time, if it was like in real time and I'm like concerned about numbers,
Sure.
and I'm like, we're about to play and there are only 10 tickets sold, like I would be like,
Yeah.
what are we doing right now?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and I think too that ties back. We talked a lot about like, it's a live performance that people can play later. So like, who cares if if it's happening within seconds of the viewer, like if that, like the difference between you hitting your
Right.
chord is just the latency between
Right.
our upload stream and
Right.
like who cares? Like
In thinking of when it wanted to be live, I was like, okay, if this thing is really live, I want a screen that I can see and interact with
Sure.
people and do that.
That's cool.
But again, like, to be able to do something like that, you're looking at spending. If you're able to do something like that, you're probably looking like 20,000s, 30,000s in a place that's already set up to do that and has done multiple, and they're able to do this.
Yep.
And you're able to go in, and there's already a team that's able to put that in place because it's been done. And I don't think for bands at our level are able to do that at all. They may not even be able to pull off what we did, to be quite honest, because it was like,
I agree.
I think, with everyone working on the cheap to do this, to just see if it's possible, we're like, cool. At the end, we're like, it's possible. Is it sustainable? I don't think so.
Super not.
It's not.
No way.
It's
so much work.
And so much work. And people came up, like, people afterwards, like, were sending me messages and saying, are you going to do another one, or is this a one-time thing? And I said, this is pretty much just a one-time thing.
Yeah. The thing is, like,
would you even get the repeat performance audience?
Nah, you wouldn't.
You know?
I don't think so. I think it's cool, like, you tap into your fans.
Right.
Right. And, like, people who, like, follow me, who are, like,
Right.
interested. And, like, that's awesome. And thank you for everyone who watched it. I remember, like, I watched it in my living room with my wife and some friends. And, like, we felt really proud of it. And I'm really glad that we did it. I went into this pretty much thinking it's a freebie.
Sure. Right, completely.
Like, I went in just being like, let's do it. Like,
right.
Like I've done a bunch of records
right.
for Rebuilder, and this will just be fun. And I'm fortunate enough to be able to be in a position where I can do cool stuff just because I think it's cool. And
I think me and you had you went into it with a freebie. There was a little bit there where I said to myself, like, even talking to Daniel, I was like, I don't know if we'll have any money to pay Jay.
Right.
And this feels bad. So at no point was I like, oh, this is great that we have Jay for free. Like, I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
And I was like, that doesn't feel great. And then I remember me and you talking upstairs, and I was like, after it was all said and done, and after we did everything, I was like, I think this all changes a lot if you were depending, let's say everybody, crew, band included,
Yep.
you are depending on this to like pay your rent and your livelihood.
bad idea.
Terrible.
Bad idea.
You would be in a position where you're like very worried about ticket sales. I mean, I was already worried, but I was like, if this is like your livelihood and you're like, this is what we need to do to like make money and put food on the table.
Well, you were just more worried because you probably felt bad. Like, I put quite a bit of time into this.
Oh, I was aware.
So you're probably just worried. You're just probably worried, like, thank you for the favor.
Yeah.
But like,
it's a big ask.
Yeah, totally.
It's a big ask, and I mean, we're so appreciative that we dove in this together.
Yep.
For sure. But I mean, it's a big ask. And I mean, if you're a band that has, I think if you're a band and you want to put this together and you see this and you said, I have an engineer friend who I think would maybe want to try to dive in this together, and you guys want to like dive in and experiment and do it and see if you can come up with something that way, and you have really no, financial like responsibility coming out of it, then I think you should do it. Absolutely. It's great.
Oh, it's
You'll
fun.
learn a lot.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun.
super fun, yeah.
But if it's something where you're like, is this a sustainable business or living? It's not, especially at a band that is at this level.
You do it because it's challenging, fun.
Right.
You love music. You love art.
Right.
That's why
Right.
you do it. Yeah.
And I'll go over just to kind of give everyone like
Heads up too. Look at the timer. You got 6 minutes to go over everything you need to go over.
that's not enough time.
Well, I'm gonna have to do another cut.
Or do you want to stop in? I'll take a piss and then we'll continue.
Huh?
All right. All right, we're back.
All right. So you can cut in, however.
I mean, we're just back.
Oh. We took a break.
We took a break because you have a camera that has a time limit.
Can I get into that? Should I save that for a different video?
Go ahead, explain it.
Yeah, so my camera can only shoot for 29 minutes and 59 seconds, and we think, from what I understand, I have a Canon, it's for some weird old tax reasons. and so therefore it has a record limit, which is super dumb. And it's like actually the bane of my existence because I shoot all kinds of videos down here. Right. I'm always watching the clock.
Right.
Which sucks. Love the camera, love the autofocus, love the color science.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I'm in. Love it. Just like, bruh. Like 29.59. Just let me rip, dude. Just let me rip for the whole SD. That's what I want.
Taxman.
Hey, goddamn Uncle Sam coming in on my camera. You know?
Are you done?
I feel better.
So because this is the biz, and I want to break down what the cost of this show looked like.
Yeah.
There was a total show cost to this, and the total show cost was $1,715, which is more of a house nut than we've ever paid for any show.
Sure.
And I think any band at our level, that house nut is very high.
Yeah, if you were like, hey, we have to go play Hartford, it's going to cost us $1,700.
Right.
Right. You'd be like, we're not
doing that.
We're not playing
There's
Hartford.
no way we're doing it.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
So and that was everything. So this includes how much it cost us to do video.
Yeah.
How much did the artwork cost? How much was editing? I spent money on the in-ear systems because we're not going to share someone's earbuds. So I was like, I'll buy these, and I had to try to find those cheaper. Again, everyone was doing way more work and not getting paid nearly as much as what they normally would.
How do you get people to do that? Because you're good at that. You know what I mean? You got some biz magic.
The thing is, I think you just have to be sincere about it. You should be transparent about it. And I think that's what it comes down to. It's if I had said to you, hey man, do you want to do this? It's going to be fucking revolutionary and change your career.
Right.
You'll make, if I sold it to you and said, I'll give you half a ticket sales and we generally do 100 people in every city, this will be fucking huge. Mm-hmm. Get ready to be disappointed, Yeah,
I would have asked for actual hard
Right.
metrics. Yeah.
But I came to you and I was like, do you want to do this? One, it's you should always ask someone who wants to do it. And being I don't know what this looks like. And I think if you're just sincere and you're transparent about the whole thing, then there's it's up to you. It's I didn't twist anyone's hand and I was just honest about it.
Dude, I think that might be one of the best lessons learned here.
I honestly think so.
Because if you came in hot like a douche, you ain't getting no fucking live stream.
No, not at all. And we had the opening bands was our friend Andrea, Matt Spence played, Sharky was fucking unreal. Dylan from Spanish Love Songs, Catbite, and Wolfface couldn't play it, but they sent the message over. All of those people I approached and was like, will you do this? I don't know if there's going to even be any money to go around, but just send us footage of you playing even in your house, because we're not trying to have them do this huge fucking elaborate performance. I just wanted to feel like a real show. And even after the show, I asked most people if they wanted to get paid for it, and they're like, no, it's fine. Thanks for just letting us be a part of it,
That's cool.
And I offered, and I feel you just got to be transparent about the whole thing. Even Dylan from Spanish Love Songs, I was he's asked me to be on his Patreon band podcast a couple of times, and I had to read the fucking Die Hard script, and I was maybe we'll just keep trading these weird fucking things with each other. He's I'm cool with that.
Heard about that.
Yeah, exactly. I was all right. So I think that was payment enough to make me go through it. But yeah, so the cost of this show came up to be, $1,715. The sign that we made, which was fucking huge and a lot of time into it, Home Depot wasn't giving us to it for free. They
didn't sponsor the live stream.
No, there was some things taken from Home Depot for free. But either way,
oh my God, Sal.
Either way, like, you know, to get everyone involved, that's basically what it cost and it looked like. So to give what we made from the show is the sponsorship totals was $1,150.
Okay.
So that means that there was a balance of $565 that needed to be made from ticket sales.
Yep.
Tickets were $10, then it's $12 for day of ticket. We did have a t-shirt bundle, and then you had a package that you sold to learn how to do this, which I believe you're still selling. So if anyone out there is an audio nerd and wants to really know every specifics about it, like what reamping is, like,
Buy it.
So with your bundle, our bundle, and everything, and like ticket sales, like everything came out to be where there was a net of $2,669.25.
What was that number?
$2,669.25 was the net
Okay.
of the whole entire show.
Right.
And that was at about 220 tickets between bundles, regular ticket sales, and everything.
Yep.
And I was like, this is sick. This is
Well, you got to get a little dough
right.
for doing the thing that was fun.
Right.
It's not a ton of money
It's not a ton of money
at all,
at all.
but it just kind of feels better to not like get kicked in the pants.
It felt good for me to like look at that net and be like, okay, we're gonna take about half of this, you're gonna take the other half, and I can feel like you didn't do all that work for absolutely nothing. And that we didn't put our time and effort into doing a show that nobody wanted to watch, that didn't make enough money. Like, no one in the band was getting paid. I offered money to every one of the band members. I said, hey, it looks like we might have like between $150 to $200 at the end of this to give everyone. Do you guys want it? We're looking at maybe releasing this thing on like a vinyl record and like selling the show later as well. And everyone was like, just put it back in, and you know, if that's going to help to make a vinyl pressing of this. So like, yeah, we are going to make a vinyl pressing of this.
Dope.
But and it was cool that like everyone was just like, yeah, like this was just a cool, fun thing to do, and it didn't feel like a complete waste of time.
And I think that sentiment like permeated every single person that worked on the thing.
Right.
Right. Like everyone was like, the preface was like, we're trying to do a thing.
Right.
And we really don't know how it's going to go.
Right.
We want to make it dope, but it might not work out financially.
Right. Like between like, you know, because like you sold a bundle, which obviously you're selling your course, so like you got a bigger chunk of that. We think we only took like our portion of like the $5 for ticket sale for that because that makes sense. And I think like, so like Rebuilder walked away with I think $1,490. You walked away with $1,178. And I was like, okay, this is awesome. But
wait, if we're splitting it 50-50.
Our t-shirt bundles.
Okay.
Right.
Right, yeah. Right.
So I didn't take any of your fucking course.
I didn't get none of your t-shirts.
Right, exactly.
I should have negotiated on the t-shirt game.
You should have.
I lost out on a solid $176 there.
Right, and that's why you negotiate. I mean, you still got the course to sell at $99. Get in, right?
Just saying though, like, I didn't know about the t-shirts.
Let me tell you, since we're being honest right now, the t-shirt bundle didn't do as well as I thought it would. Like, I actually thought that a lot of ticket sales in that most people would have attached the t-shirt for sure. I thought like,
but it was a minority.
It was a minority. I think it was something like actually overall was like maybe about 20 to like 25 people bought shirts, and it was one of those things like the art was great. Tom Lowell did a great job.
Yep.
But for what we wanted, having Calvin pissing on 2020,
saw that.
which was the idea of me and Daniel, like the original idea before we even had the live stream thing. We're like, maybe we do a holiday shirt that's just that, and I wouldn't even need a graphic designer. We would literally just put like the Google search Calvin pissing on 2020, and it would be the worst shirt, and we would sell it for like less than $10 on the cheapest white ass t-shirt.
Sure.
And we ultimately was like, well, if we have someone draw it, it will look better and people will actually want to spend money on it, because I don't think people want to spend money on just that basic thing on a t-shirt. So we changed it. We paid Dom so like he could make it look good, and he made it look great.
Yep.
But I still think at the end of the day, some people were just like, I don't really want a t-shirt with Calvin pissing on something.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah, you know. So I think like
Yeah.
we sold less t-shirts than we wanted, but we didn't. Again,
So biz tip, maybe don't put people pissing on things.
you
on
just
your
got
t-shirt.
to think about your audience. I think a lot of everyone's older now. People are like
They're not like pissing on each other as
No,
much.
no, dude. Like
Yeah,
they got
exactly.
kids and stuff. and,
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah, they're too busy to do that.
Yeah, for sure. So don't be bummed that you didn't miss out on the fucking t-shirt. There was that much to go around. I mean, that also doesn't take into account like what the bill will be for t-shirts. So once we pay for t-shirts, that actually amount cost goes.
So I win.
You win in this for sure.
Awesome.
For sure.
So
in this,
great for me. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, dude.
Right, you have
biz.
you have advantage. So like, but even with that split, like looking at those figures, like and even show like for like what you got for that chunk, like I'm sure you're paid way above that for things that took less time than this.
You would be correct.
Right. So and that's the thing is like, Bill worked on this with Kyle, and I'm sure that they get jobs that are just a lot more fucking money than this. Kyle, who did the editing in California, I'm sure he gets a lot more. Brittany took the pictures.
Yep.
I'm sure Brittany can get jobs that are like, I didn't even like with Brittany. I didn't even tell her. I was like, "Do you want to do this? I don't think I can give you any money." And she's like, "Absolutely," because like one, she's been with us, like I consider her as part of the crew, and
Cool.
and she was like, great to come down and do it. I told her that these are the parameters, you have to do it safely and everything, but like after it was said and done, I was like, okay, cool, great, we have enough money to pay Brittany, so we can pay Brittany now.
That's cool.
And like it was just, I think just being able to get to that point where like, okay, like these people work to make this happen, for us as a band, with everyone helping out, this show cost us $1,715.
Fucking steal, dude.
And it was.
Pretty good.
For what we did,
Pretty good.
is a steal, because I think if we were doing this, let's say we were doing this like 10 years ago
Yep.
or longer, like this would be what would be considered like one of those like, Kung Fu Records band DVDs that came out, like here's fucking Alkaline Trio, House of Blues, like one of those things like
Yep.
we did exactly what those would be like. We were in the digital format, so it came out as something you could just log in and go online and see. But had this been another time, this would be a DVD thing that a lot of money was poured into making happening.
Yeah, and that's interesting too, because like people are so used to streaming stuff and like content just sort of being on demand and
Sure.
being like free. But, like the production cost aspect of it isn't any less.
Right.
I mean, like some things have come down, like in terms of like gear and stuff.
Sure.
But like the amount of like energy required and like editors are editors and audio engineers are
Right.
audio engineers, and,
Right.
like, that type of thing. So it's like maybe like you can get a high quality camera for a few thousand less than you could have at that
Sure.
period of time, but still like the amount of people required and paying those people. Right. You're like, if you had a physical product to sell and a platform to sell it upon, of course you make way more.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And like I mean I did have people like even after the fact who I was talking to, and they were like, I was telling them about the stream, and they're like, oh, it's a paid thing, like you got to pay to see it. And I think a lot of people, because they're used to seeing a lot of these live streams happen, in their mind they associate free. For example, when Dropkick did the Fenway one, I think it was free, or even their other one's free. But remember, just because you're watching it for free doesn't mean the cost associated was free. There's someone paying for that,
Especially at Fenway Park.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and like I think they had Pega was like their sponsorship for that. So like Pega's picking up the bill so you all at home can enjoy.
Yeah, sure.
And that's the thing is like when you go into these things that there is production, there's going on, even
Sure.
if you see it for free, like it's not free. And that's why like a band like the Messingers who did theirs, you have to pay to see it because there is costs associated with
Big
this.
time.
You don't see smaller bands like us doing this type of thing because of the big costs associated with it. We were able to do it for $17.15, which for a small band that's a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, we got a steal of a deal to do that with the team that we had to do this. And it's something we have for the future. We're going to put it on vinyl and we'll sell it that way. You know, we'll put out the video and the audio as a release, like a proper release, so that like people can listen to it on Spotify and stuff. Cool. And it's a thing that is cool that we can just put. It's another thing. Like there's certain markers in the Rebuilder of things we've done that I'm like, this is a cool milestone. And I would have never put a live stream as a milestone on anything.
That's cool though.
And it's cool that this now is. You know, it's now a thing that I'm like, oh, we did a full production show.
Totally.
You know.
Totally. As I get older, fucking turn 40. Like I think about things in a container that I use to like categorize like the importance of things. Is I'm like, is this like deathbed shit?
Right.
So like when I'm on my deathbed, do I look at this and do I think like that was dope?
Right.
The value in like deathbed shit for me is higher than dollars.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. For sure.
Totally.
I mean, I've watched this thing a couple of times, and like even like I think Craig texted me yesterday, and he was like, he's like, I've watched this a couple of times. Like, it was really fucking cool, and it's just like at the end of the day, I think cool. That's like that's really what we got out of it. Like it was nice that it felt somewhat successful to end and have everyone get paid and not lose our asses on this. That was great. But just being able to be like, okay, during an age where everything's fucking weird, we're able to pull off a live show that was safe and not like one of these fucking dickhead shows that I see on Facebook where someone's playing in a venue.
Yeah, sure.
Like just fucking 5 people watching in the corner. You can see who's watching. There's more people on stage than watching at home. And I'm like, you all fucking left home to do this? So, yeah. I appreciate you taking the journey with us and
new challenges. Love it.
For sure. I highly look forward to the Death of a Nation live stream that you guys will.
As if, dude.
You guys have to show up first.
No, we just get mad about things and then write songs. That's it. I toured for 17 years. Come on.
Yeah, and?
If I may.
What's your last biz lesson to everyone?
Last biz lesson is...
biz tips with Jay Maas.
Biz tips with Jay Maas. I did the Trump thing. Obviously everyone's got to pay their bills, like whatever, but if you can, take the chance, indulge in art, indulge in things that feel cool and fun and that you're passionate about, that you want to learn about, that might grow you and might grow your friends, because on my whole like deathbed shit thing, like it's just way more valuable. And the music industry is probably the worst industry to try to make money in. It's getting a little better, but I would still like quantifiably like allocate it in like the horrible zone.
I've always said, and this is not a lie, but if you worked any minimum wage job, like at Dunkin' Donuts, you will make more in that than you will in the music industry, probably.
Not always,
over long
but
term.
By and large, yes. Yeah. So like, I never did any of like my bands for financial reasons.
Sure.
Yeah. And actually, I think straight up, I think financial reasons cripple, like financial dependency kills art.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to what I said, like if we did this because our lives depended on it and we needed to pay the rent, we would not be having a great time.
It would suck.
This conversation would be very different. To be totally. Like, how much did this show cost and how much did we make? There's only...
Yeah, and I don't think good art can be created inside of those confines.
I don't think so. Yeah. I don't think so. The fact that, like, we could kind of comfortably just, like, take this risk together, and if let's say no tickets were sold to this, somehow, some way, no one bought a ticket to this, we'd be like, oh, that sucked. But, like, and we'd be bummed, but we wouldn't be in a place where we'd be like, our lives are over.
Whatever you do, like, do it well and be stoked. If you're not stoked going into it, you won't be stoked coming out of it.
Yeah.
And that's it. And it's like, so I've done tours and stuff that like, or that I wasn't maybe stoked going into it. They're like financially positive. you don't like feel awesome at the end. And it's nice to just do things with friends and cool people, make art, and
you know, I don't know if you felt the same way. Obviously, you weren't playing, but for me, it was like this was all so weird, and there was multiple times in my head where I was just like, "Is this fucking? We're doing a lot just to do this fucking stream. Is this worth it?" And like you said, like, you know, you don't go into this for a financial thing. You know, I felt like for me, the second I put on the guitar and started playing, it was like my energy just shifted, and I was just like, yeah, this is why we do this, because it's so fucking awesome.
That's why you did it when you were 15, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And it's that same feeling that I guess, you know, whenever you start feeling like fucked up about this business, I think it does pull you back in, because you're like, no one can kind of take away that feeling of what that feels like is when you put that on.
There's a fine line between commerce and art, you know, and it's if you're not careful, the commerce part can kill the art, and without the art, there is no commerce.
Right.
Yeah, it's tough.
So, without the art, there is no commerce, and that's your biz tip from Jay Maas.
Biz tip number 3. Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Thank you for checking out this episode of The Biz. If you enjoyed it, please subscribe on wherever you listen and leave us a review on the Apple Podcast app. You can follow The Biz on Instagram at Sal Ellington. You can buy merch at thebizbaby.square.site. If you'd like to donate to The Biz on Venmo, it's at Sal Ellington. Thank you for your support. We'll see you next episode.